11th century Gujarat, quintessential Bollywood-esque romance. A handsome young poet,
मैं पल दो पल का शायर हूँ.
talented, beautiful princess, Khadoos, desi papaji. The Chaurapanchashika, 50 poems of a love thief.
और हार का जीतने वाले को बाजीगर कहते हैं.
We all love a man who can write. Ishq और मुश्क छुपाए नहीं छुपते. Lover's stiff, your slave. Love me. Heavily erotic in nature, mark of deep nail prints on her thigh also gets you the girl.
जा सिमरन, जा जी ले अपनी जिंदगी.
Hello and welcome to the 21st episode of Eyeshadow and Etihaas. I am Ruchika Sharma. I teach history for a living. I do have a few more credentials that have been listed in the description box. Eyeshadow and Etihaas is a passion project where in each episode I do an eyeshadow look like this one while talking about history. And if that is something that interests you, do hit the subscribe button. Please note that there is a list of sources provided in the description box that you can go ahead and check out for a bit of an extra reading on today's topic, or in case you just want to fact check everything that I will be blabbering in this particular video. And now that all that is sorted, let me introduce you to today's topic. Today I am here with another episode of the Ishq series, a series where we talk all about love in the Indian subcontinent's history. In case you want to check out previous episodes of this series, I'll link them here. So today's story is from 11th century Gujarat and in many ways reads like a quintessential Bollywood-esque romance where there is a handsome young poet,
मैं पल दो पल का शायर हूँ.
talented, beautiful princess, and a Khadoos desi papaji. And from this love story, as it does with all love stories, came out something absolutely beautiful, a set of poems known as the Chaurapanchashika, which literally translates to 50 poems of a love thief. Written by our handsome poet Bilhana in separation with his lady love Champavati. All this while I do this gold-toned look. Shall I hear? So the story starts, as most stories do, at the beginning with a Khadoos desi papaji, also known as the king of Anhilwada, very Simha. An angry young name, which means a lion to his foes. Now, Anhilwada was the historic capital of the kingdom of Gujarat in the 11th century CE, and our Desi Papaji, that is very Simha, was married to the princess of Avanti, Queen Sutara. And this is where comes important character number 2. Very Simha and Sutara give birth to a baby girl, Princess Champavati, also known in other legends as Shashikala, and it is said that in time she grew into a beautiful maiden and became renowned for her beauty. And because the princess was so naturally talented in the arts, her parents decided to find her a teacher who could help hone her skills. And this brings us to important character number 3, our handsome young poet Bilhana.
मैं पल दो पल का शायर हूँ. पल दो पल मेरी कहानी.
Who, as fate would have it, was in Anhilwada at this point of time. And the royal priest introduced Bilhana to the king, our Khadoos desi papaji, who was impressed by Bilhana's scholarly achievements and his poetry, for which he not only generously rewarded him but also appointed him as a teacher for his daughter Champavati. And while the king was elated to have found a worthy teacher for Champavati, he was also Khadoos and well aware that Bilhana was young and handsome and his daughter was young and beautiful. And he did not want them to, fall in love and all. Only teaching, no loving. So he devised a cunning plan and went to Champavati, who had never seen Bilhan, and told that Bilhan was a blind man. And then Khadoos Desi papaji went to Bilhan and told Bilhan that Champavati suffered from leprosy. And in order to ensure that his plan would really work, he arranged their seating in such a manner that neither could see the other. Between Bilhan and Champavati was placed a thick curtain, and Desi Papaji walked away thinking his cunning plan will really be successful. You're in for a surprise, uncle. आप जानते नहीं आजकल के बच्चे. Anyway, so this curtain in the middle charade continues for a while. Meanwhile, our Champavati becomes really well versed with literature thanks to Bilhan's excellent teaching. And then one fated evening, it was a clear breezy sky with full moon, Puram Ka Chand, which by the way features in many Indic love stories. And so on this evening, Bilhan looks at the full moon and says, "Lotus flowers' life goes waste if it has not seen the full moon." And this causes a stir in Champavati, because how could Bilhan see the moon if her father had told her that he was blind? And realizing that she's been had by her Khadoos Desi papaji, she replies very boldly, "The life of the moon is also in vain if it never touched and delighted the lotus." God, the innuendo in this line is killing me. And so our Champavati removes the curtain to find our handsome poet Bilhan, and Mr. Poet realizes that Champavati is not a leper. And after a few days, Bilhan falls head over heels in love with our pretty poetess Champavati, and Champavati falls in love with Bilhan because, duh, we all love a man who can write. And their love, as reminisced by Bilhan in his Chaurapanchashika, is pretty powerful. And as I narrate a few verses, I'll be showing you the gorgeous illustrations of the Chaurapanchashika. So in one of the poems of the Chaurapanchashika, Bilhan describes Champavati, his lover, as, "Even now I remember her, of a slender build, with her limbs afflicted by fire of separation from me," Bilhan, "and as one having eyes like those of a deer, and as the sole resort of love sports, with her ornaments of many kinds, her beautiful face, and with the graceful movements of a swan." Wow! Now that's what I call a description. And in a few other verses, Bilhan describes their love play, which is the acceptable version of, you know what it's an acceptable version of, I'm not going to say it. Bilhan describes it like this. "I still remember that mark of deep nail prints on her thigh anointed with gold dust and sandal paste. I saw the mark as she got up, and I snatched her shining garment. She shyly covered the mark with her hand as she walked away." That's a lot. And if that's nothing, in the painting that you just saw, Bilhan's jama can be seen hanging behind him, and his hand is suggestively on Champavati's thigh. But like all relationships, Champavati and Bilhan also fought. And here's Bilhan describing one such lover's tiff. "I remember when she, turning her face aside in anger and wishing to go away, neither responded to my words nor offered her cheek for a kiss. I drew her to me and kissed her, but when she began to cry in earnest, I, afraid of her anger and pain, fell at her feet and said, 'Dearest, I am your slave. Love me.'" Attaboy, Bilhan. teaching all the men the correct and the only way to respond in fights. But as the wise old people say, Ishq or mushk, chupaye nahi chupte. Their love story reaches the king of Anhilwada, Champavati's Khadoos papaji, who is furious and has Bilhan arrested and sentences him to be hanged. The day of the hanging comes and Bilhan is asked his last wish, and Bilhan in response to that recites 50 beautiful quatrains or 4-line poems, 3 of which I just narrated to you. And this set of 50 poems became the Chaurapanchashika, each poem dedicated from Bilhan to Champavati and starting with the term Adyapi, which is a Sanskrit term meaning even now. And even in his last moments, Bilhan, unafraid to die, said in one of his verses, even now, knowing that death is drawing nearer every moment, my steady thought leaves the gods and with surprising force turns towards her. My beautiful and dearest beloved, what can I do? And as expected, these poems were so beautiful. They melted Khadoos papaji's heart, and he, convinced of Bilhan's genuine affections for his daughter, was like,
जा सिमरन, जा जी ले अपनी जिंदगी, जा बेटा, जा.
And Bilhan and Champavati get married and lived happily ever after. Writing so good, it not only saves you from the gallows, but also gets you the girl.
और हार कर जीतने वाले को बाजीगर कहते हैं.
But before we say goodbye, what's the historicity of the story? The story forms the prelude to the 50 poems attributed to Bilhana, the Chaurapanchashika. The hero is called Chaura, but some scholars and also artists illustrating the poems in the 15th century refer to the male protagonist as Bilhan. This style of the painting, by the way, became so distinct that it developed a style of its own known as the Caurapanchashika style and greatly influenced many schools of painting, including the Mughal painting. Bilhan was an actual Kashmiri poet who had also written the Kavya text Vikramankadev Charita for the Kalyani Chalukya king Vikram VI in the 12th century. The love story and the love poems express a love that is heavily erotic in nature, much like Kalidasa's love stories, and is bold, going against all odds. Was it truly Bilhan's love story? We don't know, but we certainly hope so, since it's a story for the ages. And that is all that I have for you today. Please note that there is a list of sources listed in the description box that you can go ahead and check out for a bit of an extra reading on this beautiful love story of Bilhana and Champavati, or in case you just want to fact check everything that I blabbered over here. And before you just walk away, please like and share the video and subscribe to the channel, and do let me know in the comment section what is it that you would like me to talk about in the next episode of Eyeshadow and Etihaas.